Hi everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. J, Jenny McCrae, your instructor for your Dissertation 2 class. I wanted to prepare a video to go over a few things with you as you prepare to start Module 2. I know we're about ready to finish up Module 1, and I have a list of things that I wanted to sort of talk about. The first has to do with the feedback on your Chapter 1. I think just about everyone has posted their Chapter 1 so far, and I have provided individual feedback in the comments section of the Grade Center. So for those of you who haven't had a chance to check that yet, in your grades, there's no grade for that particular assignment, but there should be a check mark if you go into Blackboard. And if you open that up, you should be able to see the comments that I've made. I'm really impressed with some of the studies that you all are doing. All of you are very diligent and have obviously worked hard to get to this point. And it's really, really nice to see a variety of topics. And you all will be sharing your topics with each other a little bit more as we move on to Module 2. So I'm just excited at the diversity in class and the number of people that we have. The more people we have, the more people that you all can lean on. So I think that's a really good thing. So if you haven't seen your feedback, go ahead and take a look at that. For the worksheets 4.1 and 4.3, I had you do those more as an exercise for yourself and as a tool to use for yourself so that you could really go through each of those items and assess the level to which you have considered those things as you are continuing. I hope that those are valuable tools for you. There'll be some other tools that are similar to that throughout the course. And as a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to post another one within the next couple of days that will help you organize your keyword searches as you begin to do even more research for your literature review. So I hope my sincere hope is that any of the tools, any of the worksheets, any of the links that I provide, any of the resources that I direct you to are not busy work, but they are instead an organized way for you to go through this difficult and lonely and frustrating process. So if you find them helpful, great. If you don't find them particularly helpful, and if you ever come across a resource that you really just think kind of wasted your time, I would really appreciate you letting me know that, because that feedback helps me improve the course for future students. So on that note, 4.1 and 4.3 are tools for you to use as you will. For this particular week, I would like to see you continue your discussion board interaction on the literature review from Module 1. That literature review pointed you to the Boutonville model, basically, and the announcement has a link to that particular thing that the resource that the literature review was directing you to. On the announcement page, I have the link for that, so you probably have already seen that. The literature review that I had you assess for Module 1 is not a perfect example of a lit review. In fact, some of you have pointed out some really good points about things that it was missing. It took a long time for them to get to the research questions, for example. Some of it was not as clear or as organized. I used it for an example for a couple of reasons. Number one, any of us can pick up any dissertation that has been published by any school. Well, I might be overstating. I'm being hyperbolic here for just a moment. But for the most part, any of us can pick up a dissertation and we can start taking a critical eye to it and we can start picking apart the things that are wrong with it. That is, for the most part, what your committee is going to do with your dissertation. And so I wanted you to put the hat on of the person who is reading and critiquing a dissertation as opposed to writing one, because it's a very different hat to wear. So I wanted you to have that experience. Number two, I want you to understand the entire process from the inside out. And when you are the one who has been spending a lot of time eating, breathing, walking, and talking your dissertation topic, you have interest in it, it is related to your job, it is a passion of yours, hopefully. If you're not passionate about your topic, you have the wrong topic, but that's for later. But anyway, these are things that you have spent a lot of time researching, writing, thinking about, talking about. And so in your mind, you have a particular understanding of your topic. And that doesn't always come through. All of that synthesis and all of that evaluation and all of the things that you know about the research related to your topic and the practice related to your topic doesn't always transfer into being fully articulate when you write it. And you can see that when you begin to read someone else's work. You can see where they're going sometimes, but you have some questions, or it's okay, but maybe it could have been organized a little bit differently. Um, and anytime you approach reading something, you normally approach it not from the vantage point of being an expert. And so again, I want you to try to turn that inside out, because those of us who are reading your work for the first time, we don't have that same level of passion or knowledge necessarily, or experience with your topic. And so it's your job to make sure that you have articulated in a very complete fashion all of that synthesis. And a lot of times, if you're getting questions, or if you are getting some constructive criticism about the organization of the materials, or if someone is saying you need to go and handle or you need to go and look at this line of research or that line of research, or have you thought of this or have you thought of that, you need to use that kind of feedback or those questions as instructive in terms of what you have articulated and what you haven't articulated. So in your mind, when someone says, well, have you thought about X, and when you want to say, or you want to think, yes, I've thought about it for the last, 6 months, day and night, dummy. Of course I've thought about that. Maybe what you really ought to be thinking is, maybe I didn't articulate that in the way that I should have to show that complete synthesis in my written work. So there's a lot of things going on when you begin to do a lit review. It's big. It's a big job to understand it all and synthesize it all yourself, but it's another whole thing to try to articulate it in writing. So I want you to really get used to thinking about that, and thinking about the different hat that you wear when you're critiquing somebody else's, or when you're reading literature versus when you're the one who's putting pen to paper. Some planting seeds for some later material. There's two main points that I want to tell you, and I'm going to hit on these later, and some of you may have already looked ahead and watched another video, but I have a mantra, and my mantra is that during this class, you need to give yourself the luxury of scholarship. If you think that you have already read everything there is to read about your topic, if you think that you have already gathered all of your research, if you think that you have already figured it all out, then you're going to have a much harder time than those of you who already know that you haven't found it all, or that you haven't synthesized it all, or that you haven't really gotten your hands around your topic. Some of you are a little further along than others, don't get me wrong. I don't want to minimize the work that any of you have done, or the understanding that any of you have of your topics right now. That is not my intention. My intention, however, is to give you a little bit of a reality check, in that most people, in fact, 90% of people, think that they're a little bit further along than they really are, if they already have a good chunk of their writing done. Everybody knows that they have a lot of work to do if they haven't begun writing it yet. But for people who already have a fairly solid draft of chapter 1 and 2, or they think they have a solid draft of chapter 1 and they maybe have a rough draft of chapter 2, they usually aren't as far along in the research as they think, they are. That's why for many of you, I was directing you to meta-analyses. Meta-analysis, if you have not, if you're not familiar with that, and peer-reviewed sources are two things that you need to really think about adding in your advanced search terms when you begin to search for your literature review. Your literature review needs to be exhaustive. If you have 4 or 5 really great books and really great articles that are at the heart of what you're doing, and maybe 4 or 5, peripheral articles on, what it is that you're doing, you are nowhere near having the amount of literature that you need to have in order to write an exhaustive literature review. So this class, more than any other class that you have taken, is about giving yourself the luxury of scholarship. And by that, I mean you need to research and read a lot, even before you ever put pen to paper. So and I realize that time is very valuable. I really do. But you really need to get into the mindset that you need to be reading, researching, reading, researching constantly. This is all an ongoing process. It's not something that ends. It's not something where you go gather 10 articles and then you read them and you write about it and you're done with them. It's a constant process of going back over material over and over and over again, and even reading it, 3 and 4 and 5 times as your perspective changes and as your understanding of the literature grows. The way that you read the things that you've already read, new light bulbs will begin to emerge. So I would like for you to think of that term, luxury of scholarship. If I tell you over and over again that you need to provide yourself the luxury of scholarship, I'm telling you to go research more and read some more. Couple of other things about Module 2. I made reference in Module 2 materials, if you haven't seen them already, because Module 2 actually starts officially on Monday. And there's a reason that I'm sort of getting ahead of things, and this has to do with the schedule wiki. And that is, I'm leaving for an international trip. I will be gone for 2 weeks to China on Friday. I am a full-time professor at Fort Hays State University, and we have 2 partner universities that we offer courses at, and I'm going to both universities for the first week of each of the college's semesters to kick off the semester for our organizational leadership and educational leadership classes that we teach there. And this is my first time that I'll be going, and I have heard that the internet service in at least one of the places that I'm going is not as reliable as I would like. I am very used to working from a distance. I'm very used to Skype and Blackboard Collaborate and email and chat and all of those kinds of things, but they all require some sort of internet connection for me to maintain contact. So I'm letting you know right now that I will be traveling over this weekend, and it's almost a 40-hour trip. So I will pretty much be out of pocket from from about this time on Friday for about the next 48 hours. So I won't really be available this weekend. Once I get there, I'm taking a travel router with me. I have my iPad, I have my laptop, I'm staying at the universities, and so I'll have resources at my disposal, but I have been warned that it is a lot less reliable than what we're used to, and the speed is a lot slower than what we're used to. So I'm going to do everything I can to accommodate the schedules. I'm going to do everything I can to still accommodate, meeting with people, either individually or group. But I need you to be patient with me as I try to figure out what's possible and what isn't possible. So I just wanted to let you know that. If for some reason I'm not able to schedule as many things as I wanted to over the first couple weeks of the module, then I will definitely play catch up with you whenever I get back, and I will definitely be taking a look at the assignments that you turn in, and maybe we'll be doing some asynchronous versus face-to-face kinds of interaction as much as possible. So I'm not abandoning you, but I am traveling internationally, and there are some realities that go along with that. So I wanted to let you know that. In the meantime, but if we're not able to meet, I don't want that to stop you. In the Module 2 materials, I have said, do this, then meet with me, and then after you receive feedback, then do your outline for your literature review. If you get on a roll, if you are researching a lot and you're reading a lot and you are feeling like you really, want to outline everything and you want to keep moving forward, absolutely, positively do that. We will catch up with our meetings and with some one-on-one attention for all of you, either when I get back or when you're available. Some of you are playing some catch up. Some of you have some other issues that are going on. There's some surgeries, there's some health issues, there's some travel, there's a baby, there's, a lot of different things that are happening. So I am very adept and very willing at being flexible and in working around all of those things that come up. And so I don't want to be something that gets in your way in terms of, you know, not being able to meet a particular schedule if you're on a roll. So I want you to know that you don't have to follow those directions absolutely, positively, specifically if for some reason we're not able to meet via Skype, or if we're not able to connect, you know, the way that you need to when you first turn some things in and aren't able to get feedback right away. Still continue, okay? The other thing that I want to underscore as you look at the Module 2 materials is I put some thing in there about reviewing the karate text and spending some time with what you learned in Dissertation 1 in your karate text. I am well aware that the karate text is not everyone's favorite. But I will tell you that as we have had a new Dean of Education, as you all know, Dr. Cameron Carlson has taken over the duties. He's fabulous, by the way. He's got a big job ahead of him in trying to get his hands around, you know, this is a new program. It was just developed. As you all know, you've probably experienced a little bit of some of the bumps along the way of the program. So you understand that there are some things that we could be doing better. And I want you to know that he understands that as well. And he is moving some things forward in terms of trying to clarify committee membership, committee chairmanship, training for faculty on what's expected in, you know, the dissertations. And one of the things that is one of his real things that he wants to emphasize is that everybody really needs to make sure that they spend time, especially in their literature review and in chapter 1, in setting up the conceptual and theoretical framework for their studies. And so you really need to revisit some of the things in karate so that you understand the difference between how the epistemology and the methods and methodology and the philosophical framework, how all of those things relate. And if you need some help with that, then you know, we can talk about those things when we meet. But don't pay lip service to the review the karate text direction in the Module 2 materials. You need to be spending some time in there, and you need to be understanding what are the conceptual and theoretical foundations that are undergirding what it is that you're doing. So I think that's about it for now. I think I've covered just about everything on my list. So stay tuned, and I will post some more information on Blackboard. Have a great day.